I failed you, Ben. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are. The war is over. And when I kill you, I will have killed the Last Jedi.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
From the world-famous Blackbird Studios, it's the Rave X Podcast. And now, Rave X.
Hey, what's up, kids? This is your boy, Rave X. You are in for a treat. We got a special guest today up here at the Blackbird Studios for a little retro review I like to call Why the Last Jedi is the Worst Movie Ever Made. So I'm joined today by a longtime friend and former band member, my boy, Doug DeRocher. Doug, what's up, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good. All right. Last Jedi. This is a first for me here on the Rave X Podcast. We're doing kind of one of these things where we watch parts of the movie and then we give our opinion on the movie. Doug, what's your first take? What was your first thing when you walked out of the theater of The Last Jedi? First thing that came to your mind.
First thing that I thought when I came out of the movie was, I thought it was okay, but they really blew the Luke scenes. But then as I went on, I realized that I had more and more problems.
Yeah, I think that everybody... My grandmother's 88, Doug. She had trouble with the Luke scenes. Okay. I see where Rian Johnson wanted to go with this, which is that he zigged every time we thought he would zag, and he gave us something that we could never have expected. When we heard Luke was coming back with the last one, The Force Awakens, everyone was like, yeah, Luke Skywalker, he's going to do his thing. We only get Luke at the last 14 seconds of The Force Awakens, but that was like, wetting the whistle, you know what I mean? That was like getting us ready for it, just a tip. We put just a tip in, some Luke Skywalker tip. The next movie comes out, we think we're getting full-on Luke Skywalker. Doug, what do we get?
You get an old man who didn't live up to his potential. It was just weak, and the reasons for him being in the place that he was were equally weak. And we can get into that a little bit later in more depth.
Cool. So right now we're watching the first opening scene, which is a battle. And look, kids, this is a first for me on many levels because I've been drinking, but that's okay. So this is the first opening scene, the big galactic star battle. It's our first shot of Leia's come back, Princess Leia. Did I say Leia? Leia. We got Mr. Poe Dameron, who I like a lot better in this one than in the last one. Now, as always with these movies, Doug, the effects are awesome, the visuals are awesome. George Lucas and Industrial Light and Magic was on the forefront of these, incredible effects that we now use today. They're in all the movies. So this movie looks great. There's nothing wrong with that. Doug, how'd you think it looked all together?
It's definitely the best looking Star Wars movie. I think
I agree.
We can all agree with that. I just don't understand why the bombers are so slow. That's my problem. And why do we have new bombers when we had perfectly good B-ring bombers that they look just like?
I was watching the prequels, and, everyone shits on the prequels. Yeah, maybe they're not that great. But the one thing I liked about the prequels is that you see how that stuff that used to be, all the equipment that used to be good guy equipment became bad guy equipment. And I like that. So the New Order is going to change it. The New Order? First Order? I think New Order's a band.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, the New Order... you can tell that all of their stuff, they got to change it a little bit. We're not going to get these straight-up TIE fighters, and things are going to be a little different. And I kind of respect that. The cool thing about Star Wars was everything kind of changed a little bit, but you can see hints of the TIE fighter in Kylo Ren. I call him Kylo Rave. Yeah. And his, I believe they called it a TIE silencer?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
It's
not really that important, though. But my point is, why did they make a machine that's worse than they had 30 years ago? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree with you, but as someone once told me, it was in the script. So
that's fair enough.
There's that. Okay, so we're looking at the first scene here with Rose Tico, Kelly Marie Tran.
That's not Rose Tico. That's her sister.
Okay, Doug, you ignorant slut. You let me finish. With Rose Tico's sister, although I was going to call her Rose Tico. So we're seeing a scene with her sister, and this pays off later on because she literally gives her life to, get these last bit of bombs out. And you see Princess Leia right here. And I thought that was cool. My thing about Rose Tico, and look, they say no battle plan survives the first shot. So guys, if you're listening, we actually took notes, but I don't even know where those notes are right now. So let me just finish this about Rose Tico and her sister. I thought Rose Tico's sister, who I don't even know her name, was a more interesting and compelling character than Kelly Marie Tran's character. Now, not that she should get any shit for this. A lot of people gave her shit on social media. I just thought Rose Tico's character was boring. It was unnecessary, and whatever. Do you have any thoughts on Kelly Marie Tran's character?
She's definitely an add-on. They wanted to sort of break the tension from the the Rey and Finn love angle. So they're good because it looks like they're gonna go more with a Kylo Ren and Rey love connection. So we don't want him to be gay. So we're gonna get a brand new character.
Wait, we don't want who to be gay?
Finn, because the only other two people would be Finn. I mean, I guess Princess Leia, but then that's like a whole other thing that we don't want to get into.
Damn, I don't even know. That's a real good point. Here's my thing with Star Wars. This is a dumb scene. Guys, it's the scene where John Boyega wakes up and he's squirting medical juice out of his suit. Whatever, it's stupid. My thing with Star Wars, and I think that this is the problem that a lot of people have with Star Wars, it's a bit of an identity crisis. Is Star Wars Earth a million years from now? Is Star Wars a completely different reality? And I've always said, Doug, I think you corrected me on this. See, again, John Boyega in a medical suit squirting male fluid all over Poe Dameron. I really hate when Star Wars says shit like, grab your laser gun. I always said I hate that shit. There's certain things that they can't say. And George Lucas doesn't get enough credit. He was really smart. He didn't call them robots. He called them droids. Originally, it was laser swords.
Yeah.
And then he went lightsaber. All the things he changed was so great because the difference between a movie like this and a movie like Buck Rogers is that they're not saying, grab your laser gun, go with the robot on that spaceship, because then it just becomes stupid. Anyway, I digress. This scene, classic, iconic scene. Daisy Ridley, what's her name, Rey?
Right, yeah.
Daisy Ridley handing the lightsaber to Mr. Luke Skywalker. It's intense. It's dramatic. He's staring at his lightsaber and his dad's lightsaber. And what does he do with it? He's staring at her. She's staring at him. They're on the mountain in Ireland. What's going to happen, guys?
Over the shoulder. Like, nothing matters. That's the problem. Nothing matters.
Doug, I'm so angry. I don't want to do this show no more. And now it's Daisy Ridley, that would be the beer talking. Daisy Ridley looks as confused as we are. Luke Skywalker handed his father's lightsaber. He knows what it means. He holds on to it. I wonder what he was thinking. Someone should ask Mark Hamill, what was your character thinking when he stared at it for 10 seconds? Why did he throw it over his shoulder?
Because it's in the script.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that's why we invited Doug DeRocher up to the Blackbird Studios. Okay, Doug, you know what I mean. It was in the script. Why did Luke throw it over his shoulder?
I still haven't figured it out. It doesn't make a difference. That's the problem. None of this makes any sense. Luke is the new hope. That's the whole point of the last trilogy. He wouldn't do that. He just acts out of character. That's the problem. It seems like he threw it over his shoulder so that the Porgs have something to play with. I could see if it was like a lesson, then that could have made sense if further on in the movie they actually use it. But it doesn't seem like the Luke that we knew. And then when we start getting into the Kylo Ren stuff, like, there's no way Luke would make any of those decisions.
I agree 1,000%. I think a lot of people agree. Okay, now we're at the scene. Rey comes back. He's at his house. Luke's in his little hut. Brings in Chewbacca, which should have been Han Solo, I think. Chewbacca should have kicked open a door and Han should have walked in and Luke would have went off to fight with him. So obviously you guys have seen this. Luke is very reluctant to join. He wants nothing to do with it. Now, for the first time in this movie, we get our shot of Kylo Ren, the Emperor throne room. Guys, I'll get through this, I promise. Very reminiscent of the Emperor, except everything is red. We've got General Hux, and we've got, what's this guy's name? Supreme Leader. So anyway,
Snoke.
Kylo Ren is kneeling in front of Supreme Leader Snork, who, guys, the reason why we got all of these mysteries is because J.J. Abrams loves to do this thing called a mystery box.
Yeah.
He thinks it's amazing. He thinks he's so clever. And I guess at the end of the day, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, the problem is you don't want to create these mystery boxes and then hand them off to somebody else who has no interest in dealing with these mystery boxes that you created. That's the problem. That's the issue. Now, I will say that I do think Kylo Ren is the best character in the new trilogy. He's the most complex, the one that makes the most sense and acts about the way Darth Vader wannabe would act, which is what he is. So just sell it that way. And that's what they did.
You know what I was thinking? If somehow we could swap this stuff around and Kylo Ren was just this way because he was mimicking like Darth Plagueis, and then Kylo Ren became Darth Vader. Mind blown. That would make perfect sense. The way that Kylo Ren acts, if he became Vader, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, going back to the prequels, people always say, well, the way Anakin became Vader it was kind of, it didn't work. If this is the way that Christian Haydenson had done a young Vader, and we got more Vader, even though he was down with the Jedis, these like crazy outbursts that Kylo Ren does, and you see it in his, you see it in his face, and you see it in his eyes. Like even like right there at the scene, he's talking to Snoke. His mouth is like, "You're fucking out. I'm gonna get the girl." If eventually, instead of the Emperor and Anakin, you swapped it out so that it was Snoke and Kylo Ren. Now Kylo Ren did something we've never seen before. He kind of tried to go against his master right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they're all supposed to do, though. They're all supposed to go against their master.
Doug.
Darth Vader was just waiting for, that was the whole point, was who was Luke was going to side with, Palpatine or Vader. They were both trying to get Luke as an apprentice. I mean,
unbeknownst to each other.
Well, yeah, that's the way the Sith thing works.
The Sith are horrible people.
Well, I mean, they believe in survival of the fittest. It's, you know, it's not... It all depends on how you look at it, I guess.
I believe a wise man once said, from a certain perspective, right?
Well, it's just from a certain point of view, but...
Jesus
kind of.
Christ. All right, guys, which one of us is sober right now? Okay, that's why we have Doug here. Yeah, again, a crazy outburst from Kylo Ren. He's super violent. He can't contain himself. And now the mask that he wears is crushed, and we do not see this. He continues to crush his own helmet, and we don't see this helmet again for the rest of the movie. But from what I've heard, he gets a new helmet and a new look. Doug, do you think that there was anything in there that Rian Johnson did about him destroying that mask, and also the line that we hear a few times of him saying of, kill the past, destroy it if you have to?
Well, yeah, I think this is where that's where it starts to formulate. He gets the idea that he has to break the cycle. This movie is about breaking cycles. Like, that's what the whole idea of it is. Like, Rey's not a Skywalker.
She might be a Skywalker.
Well, yeah, but then you can also make the argument that Luke can still be alive. He could just teleport it. I mean, who knows?
Wait, hold on. Let me interject here. Guys, I've known Doug for, I don't know, since we were about 16 years old, and it never ceases to amaze me how sharp he is. Until I realize that it's not that Doug is incredibly sharp, although he is. It seems like every time we hang out, I've been drinking. Doug, thank you so much for that insight on that. You are 100% spot on. This movie's about breaking cycles, killing the past, you're getting new stuff. Did Rian Johnson go too far to break the cycle? Should she have just been the daughter of so-and-so Skywalker or his niece? Is it okay that she's a, quote, no one, or should she have been a Skywalker?
That I don't care if Rey is a Skywalker or not. Because the problem isn't that Rian Johnson subverted a expectation. Rian Johnson subverted every expectation. So if you give me, Rey just came, she's just naturally good. And then she comes to Luke. You find out that she actually isn't anybody. That's the big gotcha moment.
The big gotcha moment is a nothing moment, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm from nowhere.
Yeah,
wow.
That's fine. That's one thing. Or if it was just, Kylo Ren kills his master. That's another thing. But to say, all right, we're gonna kill off the main bad guy. We're going to have Luke in a place where he isn't actually gonna teach her. Now she's a nobody. Now every expectation that you have is broken. And for Rey and Kylo Ren, for them to break these expectations is fine because they're new characters.
That's true.
But the characters that have been established and have acted a certain way throughout every single movie, you can't have them just change. It doesn't make any sense. Why would Luke want to even think about killing his nephew when he thought he could save Space Hitler? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's too far removed. You're talking about a kid who hasn't done anything yet to someone responsible for killing millions of people. It doesn't make any sense.
Could you ever see yourself in that situation on any level? Let's say you were a police officer.
No. I mean, if I'd have to arrest him, I'd have to arrest him.
Okay, but you wouldn't execute him on the street.
No.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you say that Luke Skywalker is a coward in this movie? Like, did they go full? Is he just a coward because he won't leave the island? Spoilers alert, kids. He never leaves the island. He's just this beaten down man. Now, you brought up that scene. I wasn't going to bring that up till later. There's a very interesting thing that happens in this movie that I didn't catch till like the second time I saw it. We get a pass at what happened that night 3 times.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the good things that Rian Johnson did, that is very good storytelling. I mean, that goes back to all types of stories where he said, she said. Someone says, here's how it went down.
It's a Rashomon thing.
Rashomon thing. Tarantino does it too, where, like, there's a great scene in Reservoir Dogs where he's talking about undercover cops in the bathroom, and they show you him in the bathroom, even though he's sitting in a diner. One of the things I noticed was the first time you get this, and I'm going to mess this up, Luke just gives you a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And you just see him standing over Kylo Ren's bed. The next time you see it, is it from Kylo's perspective?
It's from Kylo's perspective.
Okay, so the second time you get this, it's from Kylo's perspective. And if you notice, Luke Skywalker's face is like super angry and weird looking and twisted and fucking angry. And it didn't dawn on me that that's not how it really, well, we don't know how it really happens. Kylo saw that. That's how he perceived it.
Yeah.
When we see it from Mark Hamill, he's just standing over him conflicted.
But that's the issue. He should never have been conflicted.
Okay, no, I know, and I agree with you.
The minute he lights that lightsaber up, it's completely against character.
Now,
the fact that it being there and wanting to like maybe intercede, maybe, I don't know, steal his nephew's lightsaber or whatever, that's something you could say. But the minute he lights that lightsaber, I don't care if it's even for a second or whatever, it's over. Like, they fundamentally didn't understand what that character's about.
So let me ask you this. In the 3 flashbacks we get to what happened that night, I don't believe we see him ignite the lightsaber in the first one.
We don't. You see him in 2.
2, he ignites the green.
In Kylo's and in Luke's when he...
Final.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
So I suspect that Luke's is the way it actually happened.
Okay, guys, what we're talking about is the last vision you get, because, you know, Rey has the Force Skype, which I heard people calling it Force Skype, although it was weird because he got some of the sea mist on him.
It's a precursor to what Luke's doing.
Oh,
so it's like the
ladies and gentlemen, Doug
thing.
DeRocher, the precursor showing how powerful both of them are.
Yeah.
Eventually, and that makes perfect sense, what they're doing, the Force Skype, is baby steps to the Force teleportation.
What I'm saying is, I mean, now we're getting to the very end of the movie, that Luke is dead. But you don't see a body, so, and there's no real reason why he should die. So he could have just teleported in the Force and come back in the next movie. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's a thing that could, if you wanted to write yourself out of that, to have him come back. It made sense as they're making the movie for Luke to die, because then you have Leia as the hero of the next one.
Oh my God.
Obviously you don't have Leia. Carrie Fisher's not with us anymore, so we're not actually able to do that. So if you want to get out of that, that's how I would do it. Just have him show up somewhere. And if you want to say, like, well, what about the robe? Just like Terminator, he just shows up naked.
Nothing dead goes through time travel, Doug. We know that. I agree with all that, except that we've kind of been trained that when someone dies, they kind of disappear. Although Vader didn't disappear. His suit was still there for some reason, but maybe he was more machine than man, twisted wires and metal.
What about
Obi-Wan
Qui-Gon.
disappeared. Who?
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon didn't disappear?
No.
Hey, kids, do me a favor. Google this and leave it in the comment section. Did Qui-Gon disappear? If Doug's saying no, he didn't, I'm guessing he didn't. I can't even remember. So, guys, flash forward or flash present right now. We're at the scene where General Leia, which I'm so glad they made her a general. That was awesome. She's face-to-face with Poe Dameron. Now, Doug, do you remember what they're kind of saying here, the lesson she's trying to tell Poe in the scene?
Well, they're talking about the bombing run. I would say that if you're a general, why would you have them build really, really slow bombers in space? But okay. And how like he almost got everybody killed.
He got a lot of them killed, dude.
But
he got
all
a lot
they
of
need
people
to do,
killed.
but I mean, I don't know why they didn't just turn those guns up and then shoot at the ships that were in the air. That's probably what I would have done. I don't work for the First Order, so that's really not my thing. But that's kind of no one. Problem is, no one has a good idea in this movie at all.
Yeah,
that's the issue. I'm just looking for one good idea.
Yeah, everyone is kind of like either befuddled or confused or not exactly sure. And you'd kind of think like they've done this a bunch of times. And there was a weird thing that was unnecessary. I don't want to lose my point. The point that I was going to make was Leia tells Poe Dameron something that comes back later, and I thought it was a really funny moment with him and the late great Carrie Fisher. She's telling him, you can't just go around blowing things up in an X-wing, I think she says, right? Yeah. Something to that effect. And then at the end, as Doug D just said, no one's got a fucking plan. He has a plan, and she does tell him, don't just look at me, hop in an X-wing and blow something up. All right, so we took a quick break here. Your boy Rave X had to get another beer. We got Corona right here. So let me say this, man. First of all, obviously Carrie Fisher passed away, and then every time I saw this movie, I couldn't believe Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, was gone. Obviously for everyone, man, our age bracket, being born in the mid 70s there. Carrie Fisher, so iconic. This character, Princess Leia, so iconic. One of the things that was just amazing to me was we've been with some of these characters our entire life. You know what I mean? And it's not like, well, the first Star Wars came out in 1996. Like, this goes back to when we were 4 or 5 years old. Carrie Fisher passing. I know this isn't...
The other thing, too, that to piggyback on that, is we've all played these adventures.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was playing it yesterday on the video game. I'm playing Battlefront the other day, where you can play as Carrie Fisher.
I mean, like, when we had, after Return of the Jedi, we had, like, everyone has their idea of where Luke goes, where Princess Leia goes.
That's true.
Or Han Solo goes. And, yeah, none of this, you don't own it, so no one's going to make that. But that's the problem with, superseding people's expectations. There's certain things with the way the last trilogy ended that you kind of have to, they kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
And none of it seems to have happened. I mean, I do like the fact that they didn't go the route where Leia becomes a Jedi. I think that's interesting that she chose the politics over the Force.
That's
which
true.
Which is like...
we know she's Force sensitive, and in this movie, it's the only time we see her do anything kind of Force, whatever, and that scene got completely panned. Everyone hated that scene.
Bad. It looks bad.
It looks...
That's the one bad effect, I would say, in the whole movie. And I think it also, she's Darth Vader's daughter, I get that.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
But that is pushing it, like, the power... Like, I don't think Luke would have been able to do something like that. I don't think Darth Vader, if you took him out of the suit and threw him into space at his most powerful... Able to no, because it's space. It's like, like, she's literally freezing up. Like, and then, like, there's a whole part of the whole bridge getting shot up, too.
Yeah, all right, so guys, we're at the scene where Kylo Ren is staring at his mom's ship. He knows where she's at. He's about to fire. He's got his finger on the thumb. He's really fighting it, guys, and that's what's so awesome. It wasn't yes or no. He's fighting it, dude. He might kill his fucking mom. Takes his thumb off the trigger. He's not going to do it, man. Although he did
This
decide...
is the brilliance of Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same battle that Luke was fighting and Darth Vader fought, where it's, I'm going to start at the light and then I'm going to fight against my urges to join the dark side. Luke he passed that. Vader failed it. Kylo Ren is at the dark side, but is getting pulled to the light side.
Wow.
That's what's interesting about his character.
Wow.
And towards the end, I don't know where they're going.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen in the next movie. Maybe nothing. Who cares? Yeah. At this point, who cares? Like, they lost me. It's just... we already talked about Luke Skywalker. I think that if they got Luke right, and Luke's in this movie for, 15 minutes altogether, maybe?
No, he's like about an hour, I'd say.
There's an hour of Skywalker footage in this?
I think so.
Okay.
When you add it all together.
Okay.
I mean, look at that. She's just floating there in space.
Okay, Princess Leia floating in space. She's clearly getting frozen right now. She reaches out, eyes closed, the late Carrie Fisher. I was watching this going, what's going to happen? Of course, her eyes have to open. You know that's why it's there. And we're seeing her hand. I guess she's reaching out to the Force or something. Scene's already too long. It's already too long. We see she's alive. And then what we're going to get is a scene they described as the General Leia Mary Poppins. And she looks like Mary Poppins flying without an umbrella. I don't know why this looks bad. It's just, you know why it looks bad? Because it's a fucking middle-aged woman flying through space, Doug.
Well, there's that. She's not middle-aged, old age, which is the problem.
Yeah, she's 60-something at this point.
And no, the Force never worked like this. That's the big problem.
I don't think they ever kind of explained to us how the Force works is kind of what people need to remember as well. Like, there was never a laid out of the Force does this and the Force does that. I don't think we fully know how the Force works. Maybe it does work that way for the daughter of Darth Vader. Maybe not for Qui-Gon Jinn's niece, but for the daughter of Vader, maybe she's allowed a certain amount of...
No, I'm saying there's physically, we have what is it, 6, 7 already episodes of Star Wars.
Yes.
And I've never seen anybody fly.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Now you can say that she's in space, so all she needs to do is act like a magnet, but it doesn't look right because it looks like something out of Superman. It doesn't look Star Wars. That's the issue. It doesn't look Star Wars.
Back to the identity crisis that Star Wars kind of has now. And obviously George Lucas, the Porgs, whatever for the Porgs, but they're kind of funny looking. We also never see Chewbacca eating meat, but I guess now Chewbacca eats Porgs.
Well, yes, he does have like giant canines.
Lateral incisors, canines. Yeah, man, this whole thing being passed off, and we heard that Kathleen Kennedy was going to take care of it, and she promised George Lucas, I'm going to take care of these characters. The first one, they get J.J. Abrams. I don't like the same guy doing Star Wars that does Star Trek. To me, that's like, whatever, it's fine. Rian Johnson, under a lot of pressure. He's not that old. He's a young guy. He's done a couple of movies. Good enough that they want to give him Star Wars. Made some questionable decisions. So now we have the scene where Luke, for the first time in 30 years, sees R2. And it's the only time you see Mark Hamill smile.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, underrated guy. We all know him as Luke, obviously. And then to us, he went away for a long time. And really, he was doing voiceover work and stage work. Obviously, he's the Joker on Batman. That's great. Mark Hamill's so fun when you watch those YouTube clips where he just tells stories.
Yeah.
I love Mark Hamill, man. Talk about Luke in this scene and where you think the Mark Hamill came with the character from start to where he is now.
This is the only time when Luke is actually Luke in the whole movie.
Gold star, I agree.
Yeah.
This is Luke. You see that spark in his eye.
Yeah. Now, if this was a scene like, all right, I got to get back into it, they hop on the ship and they fly back and then he kicks butt, I'm good with it. But it always comes down with this movie that the fact now, he's a sad sack. And the thing that everybody sort of knows, but they don't really look into this stuff. So a lot of this Jedi stuff is based on, like, basically kung fu movies.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me just say this. I just want to interject for one time. You're so spot on, and you guys know your boy Rave X is a kung fu master. When I took kung fu at the Academy of Chinese Martial Arts, the one thing they did that I was like, oh, just like a Jedi and an apprentice. When you come into a new Chinese martial arts school, you're assigned an older, wiser student. And that student is called a Sihing, right? That just means the older, wiser Jedi in the room. And you pair up with that older student. And honestly, I can't remember how long I got teamed up with this dude. Black dude, he was maybe 44 at the time. Real, like, cool, laid back brother. You know what I mean? Like, old school brother. And he was the guy I was paired up with for maybe a month. And I would have to mirror him. And I remember him saying, the only thing I hate about doing this is I got to stand in front of you and kind of mirror, we have to mirror each other. Of course, these Jedi movies, yeah, like there's a bunch of Jedi movies. The whole Jedi thing is based in Chinese martial arts, at least in my opinion. There's a lot of samurai stuff in there too, which is Japanese. But the rule of two with the Sith and also the Jedis have a rule of two where the older, wiser student takes on the younger student.
Well, let's break this down even further because there's an issue of the
I love Laura Dern.
The way that the fiction is actually put out. So in America, our heroes basically it's the young are the strong, and the old are basically weak. In Chinese fiction, which this is based on, the young people are constantly
like messing up.
weak.
They're like young and naive.
Yeah,
and the
guys
naivety
who are
shows.
the guys who are the strongest, the ones that you have to
That's true.
worry about, are the guys with the white hair, like because they've trained so much that they've given everything to it, and they could kill you with a punch, and it's only through learning these older techniques that you become as strong. And usually what happens is the reason why they're actually able to win is not because they have one technique that they learn, because the guy who actually is the master is still the best at that. It's they learn like 3 or 4 of them, so now they're able to play off of each other, and that's how they get strong. And then in the future, they are the old master, and they wonder why this movie didn't do well in China.
That's right. It didn't play well in China at all.
And
it's the opposite to them. They're like, this is the opposite.
Well,
it's
they're
backwards.
like, why am I watching a movie about this old, like, why does this girl even want to hang out, like, learn anything from this guy? He's totally ineffectual.
Yeah. Let me just say this. Laura Dern's character, I believe her name is like Amelie Haldo or something like that. I really liked Laura Dern. She's got a real nice smile. She kind of, she's got a real nice warm smile. Great actress.
But again, no plans. Like, we need to do is, like, to deal with Poe's story arc is like, okay, here is what the plan is. And then Poe will be like, oh, that's a plan. Let's do something. Not that I'm just going to keep flying and wait for the fuel to run out. Well, I don't tell you what's going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. Like, that's the issue. Just there's no communication.
All right, kids. So we're right at the scene where Rose Tico, one Kelly Marie Tran, finds Finn, FN 1972645, trying to escape. He's straight up trying to leave. Now she seems to be having some type of she's having a breakdown. She was just by herself crying. And she's heard about Finn. I guess word gets around. They got the Facebook in Star Wars that Finn is one of the rebels, resistance people. Blah, blah, blah. I've been drinking. She knows who Finn is. And now Finn is sticking his chest out.
This literally happened. Finn has been knocked out. Like, she would know who Finn is.
Yeah, and she says to him, like, you're a part of the rebellion, right? Like, that's her thing.
Yeah.
And then she talks about how everyone's leaving me today. She's telling Finn how she had to, like, tase 5 people today alone because they were trying to escape. And he's like, no, I'm not going to escape. And guys, guess what she does? She sees his bags. He slides a very Han Solo right there, leaning against the thing, trying to convince her that he's not leaving.
They didn't do her up. I mean, they did her absolutely no favors with the costume.
She's so much prettier in person.
Yeah,
I mean, look, guys, I know we shouldn't be talking about women's looks, but look, when I look at John Boyega, I go, oh yeah, I mean, he's not horrible looking, but he's not leading man guy. If I look at, what's the Poe Dameron's guy's name? Oscar Isaac. You go, hey, Oscar Isaac's a handsome guy. Guys, let's not act like this isn't something we do. And I'm just wondering, when there's an actress who's smoking hot and she does a bad job, I feel like they get more of a pass because they're hot. You know what I mean?
I guess, but I don't necessarily think she did a bad job. I think she what'd she have to do? She did a perfectly good job with the material she was given. You know, like, what are you going to do? The problem is, again, she has no plan.
Oh, God.
It all comes down to the fact that nobody has a plan in this movie. Everyone's just going by the skin of their teeth. All these people can act.
Yeah.
Kelly Marie Tran can act.
That's true.
That's not the issue.
No one did a bad job acting.
She was put in a very tough position because she shows up halfway through this movie, and as a new character that is going forward going to be like a bigger part of this main cast.
All right, kids, we're going to stop it right there at the 35-minute mark, man. Like I said before, this is going to be a 2-parter. This was only Chapter 1, just the Star Wars tip, right? You're going to have to come back next week, same place, same time, same channel, for some red-hot Star Wars The Last Jedi DVD commentary with your boy Rave X and your other boy, Diamond Doug DeRocher. We'll see you next week, kids. My name's Rave X, and I'm out of here.